The mountain night wrapped itself around us like a living thing, quiet but pulsing with energy. The scent of damp earth and crushed leaves clung to the air. Somewhere in the distance, a river muttered its endless secrets. I stay close behind Miss Ellerine as she climbed the narrow path ahead of me, her lantern casting long shadows against the rocks. Tonight, she said, her voice low but steady, we stepping into sacred ground, the ancestors, they watching close. Maroon land don't open itself to everybody. There was warning in her words, but also trust, a trust I didn't take lightly. The moon was a thin silver blade in the sky, slicing the darkness just enough to show the outlines of rugged cliffs. The forest around us was dense, so dense it felt like the branches were leaning in to listen. We reached a ridge overlooking a series of rolling limestone valleys, jagged and deep, carved by time and storms. This was the cockpit country of Jamaica, wild, unforgiving, and perfect for invisibility. Miss Ellerine lifted her lantern. Look well, she said. This is the homeland of the Jamaican Maroons, warrior people, forest people, freedom people. Her voice thickened with reverence. Before us lay what looked like untouched wilderness, but as the lantern light flickered, something shifted. I blinked, unsure whether it was my imagination, until the shapes grew clearer. Hidden fortifications, stone walls camouflaged in vines, platforms carved into the earth, watch points disguised as natural rock. What did colonial soldiers see? Ellerine asked. Just bush, just mountain, but Maroons built fortresses inside the belly of the land. The air thickened again, humming with presence, and then movement, not of any living person, memory itself moved. A group of Maroon warriors appeared, shadows of the path made visible by the night's permission. They were agile, silent, and determined, navigating the steep ridges like they were part of the terrain. Some carried long hunting rifles, others moved with machetes strapped to their backs. Their eyes were sharp, scanning for danger. At their center stood a figure both commanding and calm. A woman, Queen Nanny. Her posture was unbroken, grounded like the mountain she ruled. Her head wrap glowed like silver under the moon, her gaze piercing the dark. She lifted her hand to silence her warriors, and the entire forest obeyed. Some say she catch bullets in her hand, Miss Ellerine whispered. Some say she talked with spirits. All know she lead her people to freedom. Queen Nanny's form faded slowly back into the night, leaving behind only the echo of her strength. My chest tightened. The emotion was too real, too close. This wasn't history, it was presence. We moved on, the path winding downward into a valley where the air grew thicker, humid. Fireflies hovered like floating embers. Miss Ellerine stepped carefully over a fallen log and motioned for me to follow. Watch your step, one wrong move and the bush swallow you whole, same way it saved the Maroons. As we traveled deeper, the sound of water filled the air, a wide, rushing river that seemed to cut the forest in half. Its roars swallowed our footsteps. There, Ellerine said, pointing across the current. Suriname, the forest shifted. The very texture of the night changed. The trees grew taller, wider, their roots twisting like ancient serpents. The air smelled of rain, clay, and distant smoke. I felt the shift as though stepping from one world into another. This is land of the Saramaka, Dinduyoka, the Paramaka, she said. Maroon nations who break away from Dutch slavery and build free kingdoms deep in the rainforest. I saw them then, a procession moving through the trees with ritual grace. Women balancing baskets on their heads, hands steady. Men carrying carved wooden staffs adorned with symbols of lineage. Children following silently, taught from birth how to respect the forest. Elders with faces like carved mahogany walked at the front. Their leader, Granman Adoe, raised his hand. He spoke words I didn't understand, but I felt them in my bones. These people, Ellerine whispered, make treaties with the Dutch as equals, not slaves, not property. Nations, recognize nations. The emotion hit hard again, pride and sorrow mixing like storm clouds. The scene shifted, a sudden blaze of torches illuminated a larger wooden structure, a meeting house. Warriors lined the entrance, their bodies painted with white clay. Their eyes were fierce, ready, alert. Here they plan resistance, Ellerine explained. Here they decide who live, who escape, who fight. Every plan, every rebellion, start with respect for the ancestors and the forest. I felt the spirits pressing close, listening, watching, and just when I thought the weight of history could grow no heavier, the air shifted once more. The smell of incense burned in the wind. We had crossed into Haiti. Dark mountains rose around us like guardians. Torches formed a circle, casting long shadows that danced in the night. Drums, deep, powerful drums, echoed through the valley. A voodoo priest stepped into the circle. His eyes were wild with purpose. His breath came out in sharp bursts, syncing with the drums. Cecile Fatiman, tall and graceful, stepped forward next. Her presence carried authority, spiritual and human. She raised a ceremonial blade. The fire roared in response. A chant rose, deep, commanding, ancient. This is Boyce Kaiman spirit, Ellerine murmured. This is the heartbeat before rebellion. Figures emerged. Makandal with his fierce eyes. Bookman Doty, towering and resolute. Makaya, draped in charms and symbols of protection. Their voices created a current of power that vibrated through the mountain. Long before Haiti rise as the first free black republic, Ellerine said. Maroons rise. They bring together spirit, strategy, secrecy. They use forest as fortress and ancestor as guide. The fire burst upward, showering sparks into the skyline, fallen stars. The energy around us pulsed, anger, grief, courage, prophecy, and then silence. A deep silence, heavy with meaning. The visions faded one by one, the forest darkened, the mountain grew still. Miss Ellerine placed a hand on my shoulder. Remember what you see tonight, she said. Maroons teach us that freedom ain't gift, it's sacrifice, it's vigilance, it's spirit. Her voice cracked slightly, not with fear, but with reverence. We began the long walk back. The night behind us filled the invisible footsteps. Echoes of warriors, mothers, priests, children, every one of them bound together by resilience. When we reached the ridge again, I looked back at the dark valleys, now quiet, now waiting. These people, they built worlds where the world would say they had no right to exist, Ellerine nodded. And they still here, she whispered, watching, protecting, remembering. Chapter 2 closed around me like a cloak of fire and shadow. I carried their courage with me, and their silence, and their power.